The King's Avatar, Chapter 9, Yeshu's Two Hands. Chango actually didn't have a habit of pulling all-nighters, only today was the opening of a new server, so she came to see the liveliness. After seeing it, she quickly grew sleepy and fell back on her chair, only half conscious. This type of sleep quality was obviously quite poor. It was just that Chango was too lazy to get up. In this half-asleep, half-conscious state, her ears couldn't help but drift to the frantic keyboard tapping and mouse-clicking sounds. To a boss at an internet cafe, these sounds were very familiar. But the sounds Chango heard were somewhat different. These sounds were hurried, then slow, gentle, and then heavy. Hearing this mechanical rhythm, Chango had never thought that the tapping of a keyboard and mouse could sound like drums. Was she dreaming? Chango suddenly woke up and listened again carefully. It seemed like it truly wasn't a dream. These sounds came from beside her, from that newly hired network manager, Yeshu. Chango sat up, wanting to see, and the jacket slid off her body. She promptly grabbed it and recognized it as Yeshu's jacket. It looks like this person was quite attentive. Chango said secretly, "Only how long has this jacket not been washed? It's kind of smelly." Chango picked up the jacket and sat down. Right when she was about to talk to Yeshu, she all of a sudden sat there dumbfounded. A pair of hands that made people's cheeks stream with tears appeared in front of her eyes. Yeshu's two hands. These two hands looked extremely thin. His fingers were long and slender, and his joints weren't rough like ordinary males were. His fingertips were thin, and his fingernails were clean and tidy. This was completely inconsistent with his sloppy outer appearance. Chango had originally never been a very attentive person, but after a lady with extremely beautiful hands came to the internet cafe, she became influenced and gradually began paying attention. Now she was astonished by Yeshu's two hands. These hands were beautiful hands. The tapping sounds were also like music, but his actions? Yeshu's left hand bounced around the keyboard. Chango only had one feeling. His hands moved extremely slowly. Hand speed, the amount of actions done in certain amount of time, usually counted in minutes, were abbreviated as APM. Glory wasn't a strategy game. Players only controlled a single character, but skill usage was complicated. As a result, the number of fine actions that needed to be done were high, so high hand speed was a must. A player with a high hand speed made quick and meticulous moves. The strength and duration of each keystroke all directly influenced the extent that in-game characters moved. These changes added further complexity to battles. Only these types of good or bad changes had differences. For example, some people only raised their APM to look good and never stopped making actions. But making every action count and having a high APM, only pro-level players could do that. 200 APM. This was the publicly recognized skill level dividing glory. When ordinary players tried to go above 200, they were basically hitting their keys randomly. Even for pro gamers, going above 200 APM needed a certain battle scenario. The level of opponents couldn't be too weak, so that they needed to go over 200 to fight. For ordinary players, 70% of the players were between 80 to 120 APM. 25 couldn't even reach 80 APM, and the other 5% exceeded 120. Though among experts, 5%, it is said that there was no lack of players that could reach 200, that professional level of skill. Chango's hand speed hovered around 120, but could exceed that under certain circumstances. Therefore, Chango believed that she was among that 5%, an expert among ordinary players. But for Yeshu, Chango didn't doubt that his APM hadn't even reached 80. Right when she noticed this, Chango suddenly found that this rich rhythmic tapping sound also disappeared. The sounds she had heard could only be heard so distinctly because of his slow movements. "Am I dreaming again?" Chango shook her head. She wanted to hear that previous dreamy sound, but found that it wouldn't appear no matter how hard she listened. The hands she noticed now operated as if they were disabled, yet were also hands that made people jealous. Chango was now engrossed in these two hands so much that she even forgot to look at the screen. But soon, Yeshu's two hands stopped. Only then did Chango react and looked at the screen. She immediately widened her eyes. Midnight Phantom Cat? After saying this, the Midnight Phantom Cat had already fallen down from up above, dropping numerous items. At this moment, Chango saw an eye-grabbing system announcement flash through the screen. 10th server, Midnight Phantom Cat, first hidden boss kill, Lord Grimm. Damn! Chango slapped her hands onto Yeshu's back. You have real skill! It didn't matter whether his hands were disabled or not. To be able to be the first one to kill, this was something that Chango has never achieved before. Right when Yeshu was about to look at the dropped items, this slap truly came unexpectedly. It almost made him swallow the cigarette in his mouth. In the end, only a strand of silver-white smoke fell freely onto the keyboard. Chango, who had originally been peeking at how Yeshu worked, saw this scene. Everything about being the first to kill the hidden boss had already been completely forgotten. She pulled at Yeshu's headphones and snarled next to his ear. Who let you smoke here? Huh? The cigarette in Yeshu's mouth hadn't been extinguished yet. He didn't really understand what Chango meant. No smoking! Did you not see that? Chango pinpointed at the wall. Yeshu turned his head and carefully examined the two words on the wall. Are you kidding me? No smoking at the internet cafe? This area is no smoking. The smoking area is on the other side, Chango pointed. Then let's go over, Yeshu said. No. Smelling smoke makes my head hurt, Chango said. Then what do we do? Yeshu looked like as if he had encountered an impossibly difficult problem. You can't smoke one less cigarette? Chango furiously asked. I can't, or my head will hurt, Yeshu said. You! Chango discovered that she had begun to understand this Yeshu. Although he could casually accept living in this tiny storage room, he was definitely not an easy person to deal with. I'll go to the smoking area myself then, boss. You should go rest, Yeshu said at this moment. Wait a second! You never said how you got that first kill, Chango said. Nothing much. The team all died. The boss's life was low, and it wasn't easy picking, Yeshu said quite casually. Oh, so it's like this. Chango's tone still carried admiration. The reward for being the first one to kill this sort of low-level hidden boss wasn't special. It was at most some extra experience and money. There wouldn't be any top-quality equipment, but this would forever be recorded on the standings, and he would be a legend on this server. A lot of players liked this sort of feeling. To the majority of ordinary players, getting this sort of standing could only happen in the beginner levels. Once the dungeons became harder, no matter if it was a regular boss or hidden boss, killing it required a certain amount of skill to beat. When they got to the Heavenly Domain, even those highly skilled teams had no chance. All of the records were set by professional teams. Chapter 10. Shameless Novice. What did it drop? Envious, Chango moved closer to see what the Midnight Phantom Cat dropped. 5 cat fingernails? Trash. 1 cat fur breastplate. Well, might as well wear it. Low-level equipment isn't that important. 2 midnight cat nails, 1 midnight cat claw, 1 midnight opal. Okay, not bad. Hidden boss materials are definitely worth a lot of money. 1 skill book. Damn, what type of luck is this? Although Chango had yelled it, Yeshu was also astonished. For a low-leveled hidden boss to drop a skill book, what type of good luck was that? What was a skill book? It wasn't used to unlock new skills. It increased skill points. Its value could be seen just by looking at the orange-colored words. This was one method to exceed 4,000 skill points. But this item couldn't be traded, so using money to buy it wasn't possible. It could only be obtained through luck. The book Lord Grimm picked up didn't add much, only 5 points, but to have it drop from a hidden boss, it was ridiculously lucky. The skill book that had just been dropped was used in an instant. Among the materials dropped from the Midnight Phantom Cat, the Dark Opal and Midnight Cat nails were materials needed to complete the Thousand Chance umbrella. Yeshu's mood was good. He unexpectedly let Lord Grimm immediately leave the dungeon.
"You're not going to finish it?"
Chango asked, astonished. Although Lord Grimm was the only remaining member of the party, this type of newbie dungeon could easily be soloed. Even though she knew of Yeshu's disabled level APM, Chango didn't think that his skill level was that low. For him to destroy her opponent that she lost to 52 times in 40 seconds, this accomplishment had just recently happened. I need to change the computers. Yeshu had already been prepared to leave the game. Chango glimpsed at the screen and suddenly shot her hand to stop him.
"Oh, wait a second! What situation is this?"
She only saw on the chat window a wall of identical messages.
"The shameless novice Lord Grimm, in order to steal the hidden boss for himself, didn't heal the party members on purpose and let them all die. Everyone be careful! The shameless novice Lord Grimm, in order to steal the hidden boss for himself, didn't heal the party members on purpose and let them all die. Everyone be careful!"
These identical messages mixed together with other anger and hate. Although the system automatically blocked profanities, people's intelligence was boundless. They used the same sounding words to complete their mission. Yeshu looked at them carefully and found the name Sleeping Moon among these spammers. He even saw the other party members, Fallen Sun and the Mage. Because he was the first one to come out, he actually reversed what was right and wrong.
"How could it be like this?"
Changuo asked Yeshu. Yeshu, helpless, could only explain it to her.
"Damn! Shameless! How shameless!"
Changuo raged when she heard this. Yeah, too shameless, Yeshu said.
"Why aren't you mad?"
I am very angry, Yeshu said.
"Are you angry? How come I cannot see it at all?"
Changuo was puzzled. This Yeshu stared at the screen, looking at the wall of slander, but his face hadn't changed at all. Just because I'm angry doesn't mean I have to show it. Yeshu didn't look angry. He was even smiling. While doing so, he logged out of the game and shut down the computer. Changing over to the smoking area was still his current ambitious dream.
"What type of person are you? I turned my head and there are suddenly so many events. You met a hidden boss, a skill book drop, and even enemies formed. Tomorrow morning, I'll see if you're dead,"
Changuo said. See you later, boss. Changuo went to rest for a while. Yeshu went to smoking area. As expected, a blanket of smoke lingered around in this area. Even the high-frequency frantic ventilation had no way to purify the air around here. It could only limit the smoke's assault on the non-smoking area. These smokers also didn't have any emotions towards second-hand smoking. Yeshu also lit up a cigarette at once, blending in with the sea of smokers. Sweeping across the area, he saw that this place was clearly more crowded than the non-smoking area. When pulling all-nighters, very few could do so without the stimulation from a cigarette. It was good that the internet cafe was large enough. Yeshu turned around and found an open computer. Without choosing carefully, he went over and sat down. Happy Internet Cafe was relatively high class. There was a small wall between every computer station to protect people's privacy. Even if they didn't, everyone was wearing headphones and immersed in glory. No one paid any attention to the outside matters. Yeshu relogged into the game and put on his headphones. Lord Grimm was still sitting outside the Green Forest. Even though the place was overcrowded with people, it wasn't so noisy that he couldn't hear anything from his earphones. There was no difference between walking here and walking into a bustling market. It wasn't so lively that he couldn't hear what others were saying. As for those players constantly spamming to join a party, those could be drowned out. Yeshu's eyes swept over the chat box and saw that the messages about Lord Grimm had already disappeared. Finding out when a character went offline was possible through a certain game function. Sleeping Moon was a veteran, so he was already familiar with these sort of methods. After Lord Grimm had gone offline, he stopped with the messages. Only players over level 20 could leave the beginner area. When that happened, PKing would be opened up. In the meantime, those level 20 and under could only point fingers and argue. But Sleeping Moon was now being quite malicious. Lord Grimm appeared on the first hidden boss kill announcements, so everyone learned about him. When Sleeping Moon raged using his name, it was very easy for people to take note of it. As a result, Lord Grimm couldn't find a party to join. All of his requests were automatically denied. Even if players didn't actually believe in Sleeping Moon's remarks, they had already started to defend against Lord Grimm. Yeshu could only helplessly laugh. When he formed a party, he truly only came for the hidden boss. He needed those materials. His leveling speed would only increase. In Glory's dungeons, the fewer the people, the more the experience. Efficiency had to be considered though. So in the end, having more people was more effective, but Lord Grimm was different. He held the silver level 5000 chance umbrella. For regular players, they mostly relied on blue and green equipment. When compared to the 1000 chance umbrella, blue and green equipment were inferior by 3 to 4 grades. In Glory, every grade was equal to 5 levels. In other words, the 1000 chance umbrella was equivalent to a level 20 blue or a level 25 green weapon. This superiority in the low-level stages of the game could be considered overpowered, because the damage done by Lord Grimm's weapon was equivalent to 4 or 5 weapons. Adding in the influence by a character's attributes, Lord Grimm was equivalent to 3 people. Furthermore, with Yeshu's skills, he wouldn't be slower in clearing a dungeon than a 5-man team. He might even be a bit faster. Lord Grimm began walking, ready to enter the dungeon. But after a few steps, a player suddenly blocked his way. Yeshu looked, and it was actually Sleeping Moon. To be able to find him in this crowd of people, this guy has sharp eyes. Hello, hello. Yeshu lifted his headphones up and down, testing to see if the message went through.
Hello, my ass!
Sleeping Moon wasn't polite in the slightest. Chapter 11. Missing a person? Add me. Yeshu actually laughed and asked, What's up? This dull and casual tone made Sleeping Moon speechless. He was almost convinced that this wasn't the person that he was raging at for half a day. Although the masses believed that he had been cheated, he and Lord Grimm were both well aware that this was a false accusation. But how could this guy act like nothing had happened? Did he not see the previous messages?
The shameless novice Lord Grimm, in order to steal the hidden boss for himself, didn't heal the party members on purpose and let them die. Everyone be careful!
Sleeping Moon immediately sent out the stored message twice and looked forward to Yeshu's reaction. But in the end, Yeshu said, You're still doing it? You're not going to level up?
I want you to know my might. Do you know that my full moon guild isn't to be messed with?
Sleeping Moon had been preparing these words for a while now, but now that he had said them, he felt that the context was completely off. It was as if his words were like a knife stabbing through cotton. Not impressive at all. I know. I can't find anyone to party with anymore, Yeshu said. Hearing this, Sleeping Moon felt a little more at ease and laughed out loud.
Let's see you offend me again then.
He didn't expect Yeshu to say, Aren't you missing a person? Why not add me? Sleeping Moon was immediately dumbstruck.
Damn! How low are you?
Add me. Now that we know each other more, why don't we work together? Yeshu unexpectedly took the initiative and sent him a request. Sleeping Moon did indeed have a 4-player party, and it obviously wasn't the previous team. The other 3 players were all members of Full Moon Guild. Establishing a guild could only be done after leaving the beginner's village, so these were all members from old servers that transferred over to the new 10th server. And in the end, they were all put into the same beginner village. Before, when Sleeping Moon wanted to keep the hidden boss to himself, it was obviously inconvenient to do this with his own guild members, so he went around and found 4 other random players. Unfortunately, he bumped into Yeshu, who helped him and then betrayed him. Right after, he immediately asked the guild for help, and also conveniently got the former members to help slander Yeshu. He wanted to defame Lord Grimm right then and there. But the result? The result was this. The guy didn't seem to care at all. With no one wanting him, he bluntly requested to join his party. Looking at his request, Sleeping Moon didn't know whether to accept or decline it. Sleeping Moon was at a loss. Learning from his mistake, he felt that this person wasn't a simple character. What was his goal? As he hesitated, a brother on the side privately messaged him.
Add him. That guy is asking for that. Once we enter the dungeon, what can he do?
Sleeping Moon thought about it. He had 4 allies on his side. There was absolutely no reason to be afraid of him. Thus, Yeshu entered the Green Forest with these 4 people. This time, their luck wasn't too good, and they didn't encounter the Midnight Phantom Cat. Yeshu laughed and asked, "Do you still need me to heal?"
No need. Everyone will attack together.
As Sleeping Moon said this, the 4 had already rushed up to attack the monsters. These 4 weren't newbies. Their skills were very veteran-like, and with this skill level, 2 or 3 people were enough to easily clear the Green Forest dungeon. Adding in another person, their efficiency flew through the roof. Yeshu also didn't speak much. He swung his 1000 chance umbrella into a lance and attacked. Sky Strike, Dragon Tooth. These 2 were attack skills. Of course, besides these skills, the character also had normal attacks. Players, through the direction and strength of normal attacks, controlled many kinds of attack patterns, such as straight stabs, horizontal slashes, vertical chops, uppercut, etc. When these sorts of attacks were utilized, they were sometimes extremely similar to skills, except their effects were different. For example, Sky Strike was a type of special uppercut attack, but the knock-up effects and damage were much stronger than a normal uppercut. Dragon Tooth was a type of straight stab. Its stabbing speed was much quicker and could also cause the opponent to be stunned for a small duration. When a character was stunned, he would not be able to put out any actions. Yeshu didn't need to use these skills. His normal attacks were already enough to kill those Green Forest monsters with ease. It was just that when he withdrew the lance in the area with no monster, a monster would suddenly be pushed onto him by others. Yeshu laughed and accepted it. He knew that it was Sleeping Moon and his other helpers deliberately pushing these small monsters onto him. They wanted to put him into a situation where he was surrounded on all sides. But surrounded was surrounded. How could Yeshu not be able to deal with it? He had been surrounded by 5 Green Forest monsters more than once. Sending a Sky Strike onto a monster, he broke out of the encirclement. With a horizontal sweep, his right hand chopped and slashed, and the 5 little monsters lined up to die. The other 4 just watched and looked on without lifting a finger to help. But in the end, they saw how Lord Grimm dispatched the monsters at lightning speed. His might was tyrannical. Seeing this, the 4 were even somewhat jealous.
Hey, this guy's skill's really good.
A party member called 7 Fields nodded his head, expressing his approval.
He's a veteran. Looking at his skill, he could easily solo the Green Forest dungeon,
another person said.
He knows his stuff. He soloed off the Berserk Midnight Phantom Cat. I wouldn't have thought that his skill level was above mine,
Sleeping Moon said.
With this skill, there's no way he could die in the Green Forest,
a person concluded.
How about we go to the Spider Cave when we hit level 10?
7 Fields said to the other 3. Spider Cave was the level 10 to 15 dungeon. It was much harder than the Green Forest. If Green Forest's purpose was to give player time to get used to the game, once they hit level 10 from Spider Cave onwards, players needed to start using actual strategy and skill to clear it. It was called Spider Cave because the monsters were spiders, obviously. There were 2 types. One type was long range and spat out webs that had a chance to bite. Players that were bound wouldn't be able to move. The other type was melee ranged, and its bite had a chance to poison. Players that were poisoned would continuously lose health. In Green Forest, only the hidden boss had these sort of status-inducing attacks. Besides normal monsters, Spider Cave had 3 bosses, a long-ranged one, a melee-ranged one, and the Spider Lord as the final boss. The hidden bosses were Spider Elite, Spider Warrior, and the Spider Emperor. Because level 1 to 10 went by quickly, there were still many that hadn't gotten used to the game yet. When they opened up the spider dungeon, they wouldn't come out alive. Thus, the beginner guides never recommended it. The only ones that would consider this dungeon were people like Sleeping Moon, because they already possessed some level of skill as veterans.
If we kill this guy in the spider cave, we'll only have 4 people. Will we still be able to clear it?
Sleeping Moon hesitated.
As long as we don't meet the hidden boss, it shouldn't be a problem,
Seven Fields said.
If we meet the hidden boss, even he won't be able to beat it. The spider cave is a lot harder than here,
a person said.
True. Then let's first hurry up and level. When we get to level 10, let's head to Spider Cave,
Sleeping Moon said. Suddenly a member that hadn't spoken the entire time said,
Then we're going to bring him to level up? And then kill him?
Sleeping Moon heard this and was startled. Hearing this, his plan was indeed stupid, but Seven Fields already found an explanation.
It'd be better to say, we'll first let him do all the hard work, and then kick him out. Right. This is what we'll do.
Sleeping Moon felt relieved.